Toiley T paper, and welcome to Sundays with Sid. Let me tell you, this is going to be a fantastic show. What? Oh, hold on a second. My phone is ringing. Oh my gosh, it's my mom. Let me put it on speakerphone. Hello, Mom. How are you?
Well, how am I? I haven't heard from you all day. That's how I am.
Oh, well, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm just, I'm opening for Sid Krofft here, and
I don't care if you're opening for Engelbert Humperdinck. I am your mother, and I take precedence.
Toiley, I'm really sorry, Mom. I was going to call you right after I did this opening.
Oh, so it's about you and Sid Krofft now. I get it. Do you know how hard it was to birth you?
Okay.
You're a very odd shape for Toiley.
I understand. Oh, no. This is not going well. Sid, Kelly, take it over. I got to talk to my mom. Now, listen, Mom, I'm so sorry.
Oh, all right. I appreciate that.
Welcome to a very special Mother's Day edition, The Unusual Artistry of Sid Krofft.
Toiley. Oh my, Toiley, your mom. I mean, don't upset your mom today, because today's the most important day of the year. Yeah, Mother's Day. And before we start, and I want to tell you that, see my shirt? I miss Billy Hayes so much. And one of the classic songs that she sang on H.R. Puff and Stuff was oranges, schmoranges, nothing rhymes with oranges. That's what my shirt says. So anyway, moms, moms love flowers. Toiley should have sent us flowers and a box of assorted chocolates. They love chocolates. And a phone call. But that's okay. You're doing it right now, because that would be really, really cool. She's been waiting all day to hear from you. And, when I talk about moms, when I found Sigmund on the beach in La Jolla, California, I wanted to take this really, really weird piece of seaweed, back to LA. And then I stopped, with that whole thought, because it was crazy, I mean, why would I take the seaweed away from the ocean? And I'm sure he had a mom and probably a couple of brothers, And so on the way back to Los Angeles from La Jolla, I came up with Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. And you know what? That was the most successful show for us. And I hope you remember it, because it was so much fun to make. And it was 10 years before E.T., something like that, almost the same kind of a story. So, today, oh my God, I am so honored, because today my guest is so perfect for this precious day. And, she's the American Mary Poppins and Nanny of the Stars. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just can't wait. Marva Soogrim, come on down. I can't wait to ask you so many questions. And there are many that, oh God,
Hello.
how are you?
Hi, Sid. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much. We talked on the phone, but we've never met in person. So how cool. And thank you so much. I got a lot of messages, and somebody asked me, like, what a beautiful profession. And why did you choose that profession? I mean, it's a lot of work handling little kids.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's not one that I chose because
Oh,
I know I would not have made it if I was not called to do it.
wow, that's
So
beautiful.
it's a calling on my life, and I answered that call, and 43 years later, I have no regrets.
I mean, bringing up other people's children, you know, that's a that's a big job, and
It is.
you bringing calm and chaos, to parenting, I mean, yeah, because when they're tiny, it's a big handful,
Yeah,
and
it's new. It's new, and there are a lot of unknowns in those first couple of months, especially. So, and that's where I come in. I come in, and I sometimes I come in through the eye of the storm and and help the family unit to just be calm because
I know I know, Marva, you've done such, taken care of a lot of famous people's little kids, and like Julie Roberts, Laura Dern, her dad, Bruce, did 2 movies for us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I met
And,
Bruce. He's fun.
and it was, what an incredible, not only a great actor, but a
Hmm.
beautiful person. I never
Yeah,
met Laura, but
yeah. Laura is just salt of the earth,
well, you can feel
woman
it.
and mother. Yeah, yeah. She's got that. And yeah, it was an honor to have worked with all these folks and the folks before them, the everyday folks. And we have a friend in common, David Arquette, who I
Oh my God, of course.
enjoyed
Love
enjoyed working
David.
with. Oh, he have you tasted his banana bread?
No,
Oh,
no. How dare he not send me some?
you must say he does the best banana bread
And,
across
and no
the
sugar.
board.
No
No
sugar,
no
right?
sugar.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because the other day someone gave me preserved uh, a glass, whatever it is,
Uh-huh.
peaches,
Uh-huh.
and usually I freeze all my peaches uh,
Yeah.
in the winter for my shakes, and so I
Uh-huh.
just opened it up a couple of days ago, and I just tasted a little tiny before I put it in my shake,
Hmm.
and I almost got sick because it was like 100%
Like
sugar.
honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Because my body is not used to sugar. That's one thing that
Mm.
you know,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
really
not good.
careful
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. That's why you look so good. That's why you
Well,
really
it's a
look
lot
so
of
good. So you're
makeup and
no,
and you
Plastic
I
surgery.
could
plastic,
see under the makeup.
yeah,
I can see
plastic
under the
surgery,
makeup and
Kelly's.
everything else. Yeah, I can see all of that. I wanted to say we grew up with HR Puff and stuff, and
Really? Wow.
yes, I sang the jingle for you the other day,
I
and
know. You knew
and
all the words. Where are you from?
I'm from originally from Trinidad. I was born in Trinidad in the Caribbean.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm from the
Okay.
islands of Trinidad and Tobago.
And and how old were when you came over here?
21.
You were, wow,
Yeah,
really?
today, yeah, I have done 43 years of my work.
And so and you immediately became a nanny when you came over at 21?
I had 3 children already by
Uh-huh.
by that time, and when I came here, I knew I was coming here to do a work. I found that out, and spiritually on my own, I was given that message, and I knew I was coming here to do. This is what the message. I got this message. I was hanging with the ocean. The ocean is it's like a mother.
Of
So
course.
I sat by the ocean. I would do that a lot as a teenager, and I would talk to the ocean and question the ocean about I needed answers to what my life was about, and the ocean gave me that message,
How
that
cool.
I was going to go across the ocean and do a big work, and so I got here, and I'm like, I want to know what this big work is. It so happened that I started taking care of kids, and cleaning, like doing lighthouse keeping, which I was not crazy about, and it's a lot of work, and I like to focus on the baby. And very quickly on, nobody wanted me to clean their house. They found that I was much stronger taking care of a baby, and that's where they wanted me
Did you start
to be.
with babies, or did you start with
A
like
baby,
young
a baby,
babies? Wow.
yeah, a
What a
baby.
job that
Yeah,
is.
and
Yeah.
we're still in touch after 43 years. We're
And
still in touch.
now the baby has babies,
Yeah,
and
he's married, and I went to Michigan to give them a hand
how cool.
with their baby.
We did a Broadway show,
Mhm.
uh, and it never went to Broadway for many reasons. But at the Goodspeed Opera in Connecticut, that's where it opened for like 6 weeks, and they were all little children, but they were no taller than the piano, because that's what I wanted. And there were like 25 of them.
Mm.
And Tommy Tune, who was a very famous choreographer on Broadway, he started rehearsing with them, and he quit because the
Yeah,
little kids drove him absolutely crazy. But I
yeah.
got to tell you something. It was called Broadway Baby, and they would do production numbers that lasted 12, sometimes 15 minutes, and all through the show, I mean, they got one standing ovation after another. Those little kids were just awesome, you know,
Yeah.
and all the adults in the show were played by life-size puppets, you know. Yeah, and they sold out the whole 6 weeks. And the reason it didn't go to Broadway,
Broadway.
yeah, is because we lost our music, uh, because a show that was in London had Nisio Brown and God, who was the other? The music from like in the 30s, because
Mm.
I didn't want the kids to play adults, put them in top hats, and I got the whole idea. I saw a picture, an 8 by 10 picture of Shirley Temple and Jackie Coogan in diapers. They were both in diapers, yeah, and 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 that's where I got the idea from. And the kids were just, oh my God, they were unbelievable. And then
Yeah.
Singing in the Rain, a lot of music from
Mhm.
Singing in the Rain came into Broadway, and we lost half of our music. So
Mm.
we never made it to Broadway. But what a great
And
idea!
that's so
It
fascinating. I love your stories, and we should get together sometime.
oh
I want to hear more of it.
Well, if you listen to me every Sunday,
Yeah.
I've been on almost 3 years. and I still
Over 3 years.
over 3 years.
It's been more than 3
Love
years.
Kelly, that makes me so old.
You are old, don't worry. You started when you were 90, a spring chicken.
Start a
Right?
spring chicken. You know, I tell everybody I'm 93. I'm going to be 94 in July. And I always
Okay.
say to everybody, send me a picture when you're 93, okay? I, I want to see. I mean, it's a struggle every day, but I'm so grateful to wake up every single day.
I know. God bless that.
Well,
God bless
oh,
you.
thank you so much.
Let me just sing a few words of a song. I want to know if you know this song. If I know this song, you know this song. One dream in my heart, one love to be living for.
Oh, yeah.
One love to be living for. This nearly was mine.
Oh,
Do you know what movie that's from?
no. I know the song word for word.
Oh my
What movie?
God. It's something Pacific. It just left me. Something Pacific.
Well,
Probably South Pacific.
it was from South Pacific. I saw that with God, Mary, what was her name? A huge Broadway star. Yeah, I think back in the 50s, right?
Yeah, it was way back.
South Pacific,
South
yeah.
Pacific.
He was the mother of someone really famous on television.
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody's going to answer all those questions for me.
I know.
Because every once in a while I get senior moments. I only have a little tiny brain, and all the people that I've met, you know, I mean, I've been in this business for 83 years.
Oh, wow.
83 years, you know. So can you imagine? I've toured the world, almost the whole world.
So
And
sweet.
talk about the world.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, Liberace, I met him in 1952. I didn't work with him as his opening act until 1958. 1958.
I was born that year.
Huh? You were born in 58?
Yeah.
How about that? And you know what? We went to Australia, and we went on a clipper. That was the plane. You know, it was it had an upper floor and it seemed like it took 9 years to get to Australia from LA because we had to stop in Hawaii and refuel, and then we had to stop in Fiji to refuel.
Oh my.
Yeah. And then we landed. He was a huge star. I mean, huge. It was like bigger than the Beatles. It was unbelievable. There would be thousands and thousands of people at the airport, but there wasn't anyone. No one when we landed. And he was all dressed for it and made up and all that stuff. You know, and so what happened was the promoter said the Queen Mother hadn't been in Australia in 30 years. And just hours before we landed, she, landed in Australia. So where is everybody?
Yeah, nobody would be there.
No, they were all not the people that came to see her, but she was having a big garden party, in this big estate. So Liberace said, well, where is it? To the promoter. And he said, I know where it is, but are you thinking of crashing the gate or something? And Liberace said, well, of course. I don't need an invitation. I'm Liberace, And so he was in his limousine and he pulled up to the gate, and of course there were all these guards and whatever, and they to the driver, they said, "Invitation, please." And he said, "We don't have one." And Liberace stuck his head
And
out of the back window, and he
yeah.
said, "How dare you? Do you know I'm Liberace?" Ride on. And they didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't stop him. And so,
Wow.
what he had in his mind, because he knew the press would be there, and
Yes,
and
yes. He
all the women,
capitalized on that.
yeah, and all the women were in, covered. You had to be covered down to your wrists, and the
Mm-hmm.
men were in morning clothes with top hats, and even though it was in the afternoon, and so the press just swarmed him, and they knew who he was, and he
Yeah.
said, "No, I crashed the gate to wipe her off the front page of the newspaper." And then he said, "Get out of my way."
Oh no.
The Queen Mother, the trumpets blared. She came
Yeah.
out on a balcony and she
Uh-huh.
started waving to everyone. He said, "She's waving at me."
All right.
Yeah, no, he was a trip. He
Yeah.
was the greatest.
Yeah, he
You
got the
know,
attention he needed.
well, he was his own publicist,
Yeah.
and he always pulled crazy things like that. His mom lived with him, and every
Mm.
time I'd go over for lunch or I'd be invited to his house on Kings Road off of Sunset Boulevard, the
Mm-hmm.
mother would answer the door. And she knew who I was, and she'd always say, she put her foot in the door. She said, "What do you want?" I said, "I was invited for lunch." And she just slammed the door. And, you couldn't walk back down. We didn't have cell phones. You
Mm-hmm.
couldn't walk back down to Sunset Boulevard and get on a payphone for a nickel,
I
And I would
know.
just wait and ring the bell again. And then finally Liberace would come
He
to
would
the door.
come.
Because he just had a live-in maid, and she was always in the kitchen cooking or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my Liberace stories. I
Yeah.
have many, many mom
I
stories.
I
Well, let's
bet.
hear a couple of yours. This is your show.
Well, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. I have four children
How
and
great.
10 grandchildren.
Wow.
And my children are well able and they can take care of kids. It's just what
Because,
they know how I guess looking at me, just like I looked at my mom, you know, you learn some things and then you add to what you
of
know and
course,
and so on. So I had a good run of 43 years without my kids saying, "Okay, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do?" They knew I was working and they was very much self-sufficient. So that really, the way they were as young people and young, husbands and my daughter being a wife at a young age, I was able to do my work without a lot of noise, you know,
yeah, but it takes
coming
it
from,
takes it takes mama, to to then let them grow up and and
yeah,
and be incredible. It's up
yeah,
to the parents, it really is. It's the
yeah,
parents
true,
that construct us, and you
yeah,
know and if we listen to, my mom and dad would always say, um, if you have a question and we didn't experience it, we're not going to give you the answer. Go find someone, we're not going to just make up, an answer. And
yeah,
that was so helpful,
yeah,
because they said, just go out there and whatever is out there you can touch, or it wouldn't be here. God wouldn't have put it here for us. And
yes,
so that's the way we were brought up, you know.
Yeah, they have to grow up and explore and find their way
Of course,
in
yeah,
in
and
in this
not.
life.
But you know, I knew so many kids that had dads that maybe hit them with a strap or whatever,
Hmm.
and they would come over to my house and they'd say, "Oh, I hate him and I hope he dies." I mean, they're little kids. And then I watched them grow up and bring up their kids, and they did the same thing. That really always blew me away, you know, because I don't know why they didn't learn from that and correct it, you know.
Yeah, I guess um, for a lot of young parents, you do what you know. You do what
Yeah,
you know,
what you
and
experience.
yeah, what your experience was, what you learned along the way, and as you begin to find your way as a parent, then you have to bring in what you feel. You know, you have to bring in the way you feel that you need to parent, the way your kids are asking you without saying the words, because you know that the way you will parent is not going to work for
And you
your
want to know
babies.
something? That's why you're the Mary Poppins of America. I mean, we've never met, and I've already fallen in love with you, you
We
know,
have met.
because, well, your beautiful words, you know. I mean, we learn so much from mom, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my mom right now would be about 100 and, I don't know, 28, some
23.
123.
20.
Uh-huh.
123 years old. Can you
Wow.
imagine? I mean, and the the kindest, you know. I mean, those were
Yeah,
the
moms.
days when mom didn't work.
Yeah,
Mom took care of the family.
yeah. Took care of
Mom
the family.
and mom made the food, and mom, you
Yeah.
know, made sure you had enough to eat,
Hmm.
and you know, and that you were dressed warm. And you know, my
Yeah.
mom, we were in a huge hurricane, and and everybody on our street didn't make it, but my mom knew to get the hell out, and you know, and the people on that street was a long, long street,
Yeah.
and there were all these big mansions. They lived there, you know, was on in Rhode Island, you know, with and our house was right on the ocean, and we just had
Oh my gosh.
a little shack, a little tiny shack that we paid $20 or $25 a month rent, you
Yes,
know.
yes.
And there was a huge, huge, probably one of the biggest 165-mile-an-hour winds. You know, you couldn't walk, you had to crawl. And so
Hmm.
my mom, she saved my life and saved my brother's lives,
Hmm.
because people tried to pull us into their homes. They would send their servants, or they come running out
Hmm.
and say, you know, we live here, that don't worry about it. This, we've had so many storms,
Right.
but they didn't make it. The whole street got wiped out,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
because your mom had her instincts on
Oh
point.
yeah.
She was very intuitive.
I don't think she had ever been in a hurricane, because my mom came from Odessa,
Hmm.
and my mom, where the war is right now, the
Okay.
senseless
Hmm.
war, you know, and my dad came from Kiev, and they ran away. There was the Russian Revolution, the
Okay.
same, I'm saying 1923, the same crap that's going on now, but they killed millions of people, millions.
Wow.
Yeah, and they ran away with nothing, you know, and they were only in their early 20s, you know, they had nothing, penniless,
Hmm.
and they ended up in Romania, and then they took a
Mm.
boat you know,
Yeah.
they couldn't come to America. They didn't have the proper papers, but they ended up in Canada, and that's where I was
Yeah.
born. Yeah,
Oh,
in
okay.
1929, you know.
Yeah.
So my mom, she was the kindest, you know. If you ever said, no, you know, anything negative was always, oh no, it's not like that. Everything
Mm-hmm.
was positive. Everything
Yeah.
for her, you know. And so it's important when we have a mom that, you know, gives us a lot of right
Yeah.
information.
Reinforcements. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. It really helps. It's like proper fertilizer, human fertilizer, you know,
Yes, it
just
is.
so,
Yes, it
yeah,
is.
help you to grow. And yeah, so when you get to be older, you instead of looking for the downside of everything, you're more optimistic.
Beautiful words. So, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's great.
Yeah.
It's just great. You know, like I said at the beginning of my show, this is really the most important day of the year,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
because mom, she got us here
I
and
know.
mom took care of us,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and oh my God.
And I want to be able to take care of all the moms going forward, all the moms and dads, especially the new parents, because it's like they need that voice. They need that person to advocate for them because sometimes a mom doesn't know how to articulate what she's feeling, what she's going through. And having the experience, this long experience, it has given me so much empathy towards new parents, especially the mother that carries the burden, that physical burden, emotional, and then go on for the rest of her life. She's mom,
But
you
Marva,
know.
I got to tell you something. You play a huge, huge part because when a child is that young, and you know, today moms work. Today everybody has to make a living.
Yeah.
You know, when we did HR Puff and stuff, you know, I knew that the mom and sometimes dad would be in front of the television set with their child, you know, and watch it. So I wanted to entertain them too,
And you did
because if mom,
that.
yeah, and if mom laughs and the little one doesn't really understand, they're going to laugh with her, you
Yes.
know. And so, and we live in different times right now,
Oh
and what
yeah.
you do, bringing up, you know, little ones like that, you play, you mold them. You're molding them for their
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah.
mom and dad, you know, are putting that pressure. That's a lot of pressure
Yeah,
into
it's
your
ease there,
hands,
bringing
you know.
ease. Yeah, bringing ease to the situation because it's, it's tough. It's tough with sleep deprivation and just making sure that everybody feels happy and we integrate the baby into our family. And sometimes you have younger kids who are showing a little jealousy, which is normal,
Yeah.
and so I could take the baby, or someone else who's doing what the same work I do could take the baby outside for a little walk, so that the older child or children can get some extra, extra attention and love, and so that they don't feel replaced in any ways, you know. And
How
then you teach.
how long do you stay with the families after they have the baby?
It depends, but I would say about 6 months.
Oh,
Six
just
months,
six
and
months.
yeah, but
And
six
then
months
who
plus.
takes over?
A
Who takes
nanny,
it?
a
A
nanny.
nanny does.
Yeah, a nanny comes and then we go over together like maybe 3 weeks, and she gets to know the baby and the family, and then I go. But most times I'm there. I have one foot in the door.
And how many families do you work with at a time?
One at a time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And a few others on the phone because
Well, that's
they're
really cool. Or
yeah.
do you work with them prior to the baby coming, like with the doula and things like that?
No, we just do more like a list that a list of products
Uh-huh.
that they would maybe some things that I work with that I could recommend, and so we do more like that stuff and have a couple of discussions, and then when like the last trimester we speak each week just to make sure that everybody's on the same page for when the baby comes or babies, because I've done a lot of twins and triplets.
Oh, wow.
And so by the time baby's coming home, I'm there. I go to the hospital and then meet the family, and then I move in.
Okay, I have lots of questions now. Okay, so do you work with getting the children on a sleep schedule?
Yeah.
How do you do that with twins and triplets?
With twins and triplets, it's very, very easy. I feed them at the same time, and they go to bed at the same time. So I handle twins and triplets like I handle one baby.
Oh, wow.
Only that for some reason you end up feeling like an octopus because you have to feed 2 and 3 babies at the same time, which this woman by the name of Yvonne Phillips taught me how to do that. And so I just mastered it. So you put them in the stroller at the same time, and to be able to feed them and bathe them at the same time, I use the floor a lot.
Yeah.
You put towels down on the floor, you change them, you give them a bath one at a time. Well, for the bath, I use the bathroom floor. As long as there's enough room, towels on the floor, you bathe one, you put down the other, and then you have 3 wrapped babies, and then you cream them and dress them one after the other, and food, everything at the same time. So if it's lunchtime, everybody sits in their little chair, their little baby chair, and we have food. I make the food, and so I have all of it. It's easy for me. And why it's easy for me, because I've done it so many times.
They don't throw the food at you?
Well, they're too young.
They're too young.
They do that when they get a little older. Once I'm there. And so because I have all this wealth of information, I can now, teach other parents how to do it, so they're not living, a life that they feel burnt out and overwhelmed, and that's sort of
when I was a kid, I don't think there were nannies unless you were, very rich,
Well, they had wet mothers. I mean, they had a whole bunch of different things. It took a village.
Yeah.
You had other moms that would come in and things like that.
Yeah, aunties.
How do you know you
uncles.
weren't there?
Neither were you.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
It was your mom.
I've been on this planet a long time. My God, Lincoln was the president. Yeah.
Okay, then how'd you not know about wet moms?
I know about wet moms, but wow, what a great profession.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I enjoy it a lot, and I want now to help, like I said before, parents to master their own family situations. So
are you with the famous? Are you with a famous baby right now? A famous parent?
Yeah, I'm with a famous parent.
You are with a famous parent? No.
Yes.
We won't ask you. Please.
Well,
yeah.
So I have other questions. So years ago, when I was a teenager, I started nannying for families out here in Hollywood as well.
Yeah.
And what I had found at the time was that, and it wasn't until for many more years after doing it, that the parents, new parents I found were the hardest to work with.
Yes.
Because they had in their head this magical, wonderful situation that was going to happen with the baby, and everything was going to be, you know, perfect. And they were reading up on the whatever the trendy way of taking care of their kid was.
Yeah, what to expect when you're expecting.
Do you find that to still be the case? Do you find people when they have babies, like they want you to do things a certain way, and then over time you're able to mutate your own way?
Yes, that still happens, but not with me. It does not, because when I come to someone's home, they know that I'm coming, you know, ready to get to work, and they know that I know what I'm doing, because a lot of people would have spoken to them about me, and so there's that confidence in them when I get to their house. But in the earlier days, I almost threw in the towel, the soap, the whole bathroom, because I could not grasp why would somebody be telling me how to do my work when they have no experience in my work. So it took me a minute to really
know how to react to that.
Yeah. To understand that they are right, because they just have in their imagination what they would like to see happen.
Right.
And that's why they were just giving me the knowledge that they had planted, the seed that they had planted in there. This is what I would like it to be. It's like the wedding and the marriage.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I
it's
wanted
two
Kelly.
different things.
Everybody loves Kelly, and I asked Kelly to have her mom come on, who lives in where?
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Okay.
And she visited here not too long ago. She watches every single show, but I was so disappointed because she's a nurse in a hospital, right?
Not currently, but yes, she has been. And she was dealing with the NICU babies. So my mom dealt with NICU babies.
Yes.
My mom had an injury where she wasn't able to lift more than 50 pounds, and she felt like her job as a nurse, you know, like her world had come to an end. And I said, well, why don't you go work with babies? You're never going to lift anything over 50 pounds.
Yes.
And that's what she did. She did that for a long time. And then she was a private home nurse for different families, twins with special needs, things like that. But yeah, my mom's a load of fun. She has a very unusual name, but my family comes from medicine. So my great uncle birthed me. He had a birthing center in Santa Monica. So we did a lot of all natural birthing, and most of the babies in our family were all birthed from him. And I've had, you know, there's always a lot of questions when I love talking to people like you, because you've seen probably similar but obviously very different situations than I have.
Yes, for sure.
And for you, I wonder also, have you worked with people who have had surrogates? And if so, is there a hard transition surrogate wise, like mentally bringing in a new baby into a home where they couldn't have their own?
I have worked with a good bit of families who had surrogates, and again, in today's world, a lot of things are different. Today, the surrogates are a part of the family for the most part.
Oh wow!
Because after the baby comes, the mother has done her due diligence. She knows whether it's therapy or speaking with friends, and that surrogate community. She already knows that she is not able to carry a baby. since she's happy to have someone else, you know, help her. So for what I have seen, I haven't seen like the jealousy or anything. People are so grateful my clients are so grateful to have somebody bring their baby into the world.
Of
And
course.
in what I see is that when the baby comes, then the surrogate is pumping milk for a while.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like give me that baby and bye. They take part. I have had adoptions. Some of it is you know they take part in the kids' lives.
That's great.
And it's different. Like I said, it's different today. I bet there are boundaries, of course, but the children are going to know who gave birth to them. They want
That's
want
pretty
their
cool.
they
You
want
know,
their children to know.
Yeah, because in the 90s, it was not that way at all.
No, I was around for that too. So I got to see the beginning of IVF. We had that, and then adoptions, and then surrogacy, and then same-sex parents, and in all of it. And people have learned so much about the situations that they're getting into to become a parent, however that happens. So they have done research. They know that, okay, this is how I'm going to get that baby, and they're ready to handle life from that point.
well,
Knowing that
every baby's going to cost you at least $1 million, right? To have a baby, you know, and
to
bring
have a baby
them up
now, it's
before they leave home on their own and get a job and all that. But, you know, we're going to be running out of time, and I just want to tell my favorite mom story. You know, I have many because I toured with Judy Garland and a lot of famous people, and I have great stories to tell. But in the 40s, the middle 40s, I used to work up with my act. I was a puppeteer. I had an act, and I worked in the Catskills. The Catskills, you know, had all kinds of, you know, expensive hotels, not expensive, sort of dumps, but it was like a cruise. It was like a cruise ship. They fed you 3 meals, you know, and I would get $10 for every show. At that, only on Friday and Saturday night they would have shows up there, you know, and I always worked, you know, that the hotels that I worked in weren't very famous, and if I was really, really lucky, on a Saturday night I would double and make $30 on a weekend. That was like a fortune, right?
I bet.
And so, you know, the performers and the busboys and the, you know, the waiters, they were all young kids at that time, but they had like we didn't live in the actual hotel, and we didn't eat in the dining room because we were given, I think, what was left over the day before or whatever, you know. And so I was working in this hotel, and it had an elevator. It only had 4 floors, you know, and I was up on the top floor, and I was coming down into the lobby, and this woman, you know, stopped. The elevator stopped on the 3rd floor, and she looked over at me. I can't do a good impression. And
yes,
she said,
you can.
No, I can't.
Yes, you can.
And the woman said, are you the boy with the puppetsy schmuppetsies? And she said, so where'd you get the dolls in Woolworth? And, you know, she fired me with so many questions that I couldn't even answer. Who made the dresses? Your mother? She said, what do you do in the winter? You know, and then she said, are you married? I said, I'm 14 years old. She said, wait, we're going to, in the lobby, you're going to meet my daughter. She looks like Elizabeth Taylor, and she dances like Rita Hayworth. And so the elevator door opened up. It's my favorite story. And there stood her daughter, and this isn't very kind, but she looked like the bride of a young bride of Frankenstein or something, you know. And the daughter immediately, the mother said, "This is the boy with the puppetsies that you saw last night." And her daughter, in front of her mother, said, "Here's the key to my room. Anytime you want to come." She was like the same age I was. Anytime you want to come and visit me, you know. In those days, we had keys. And can you imagine? I could have had a 70-something-year-old son or daughter. How about that?
Oh no!
Today. Yeah. But I was too young. So talk about mothers, because, you know, they always want to find a rich man, you know, a doctor or a lawyer. They always try to
what they think is the best for their children.
Yeah, they always want to pawn off their kids. You know, you need to get married, you need to have kids, you know, I need to be a grandmother. You know. Well, anyway, that's my story. So,
okay, can I ask Kelly a quick question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kelly, as a mom, how do you balance, because I could hear the joy in your voice, how do you balance motherhood and everything else and work?
Oh, that's a great question.
She has 3 children.
I have 3 kids. I have an 18-year-old who's currently going to college in Wyoming. I have a 14-year-old going on 28. And I have a 5-year-old who's special needs. And, you know, I'm very, 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 very blessed by having very good friends, excellent family members. I have had amazing experiences with people, and I really do still believe that it takes a village to run, you know, to run a family. And for me, I run a large business. I help many other clients with, you know, whatever it is that they do. And
what about me?
You are a client that I help run whatever they do. And yes, I have big children. They're 93 and 79 and 74.
It's still taking a village.
It still takes a village. And you know what? I'm really, really lucky that I have a community of people who are willing to help when help is needed. And they step up. And I guess that is kind of what Mother's Day is about. It's not just the person who gave birth to you. It's about the people who help. It's about the people who are there for you. It's about the friend that calls you when they know that, you know, you need somebody to watch out for you so you can take a bath.
And you know what else? Everybody out there, enjoy every moment with your mom. Every single moment.
And even those people that, you know, like for you, you are a huge blessing in these people's homes, because without you, you know, you're giving them learning experience and comfort and the knowledge that their children are being taken care of safely, you know, and so thank you. Happy Mother's Day. Even if it's not from your kids, it's, you know, you are a mommy.
Yes, and I'm so blessed. I'm getting it from my kids and from the world. So thank you guys for having me. Happy Mother's Day to you, Kelly, and all the mothers in the world, whether you're an auntie mother, a dad mother, everybody that helps take care of the family is a part our support system. So thank you guys again for having
Well,
me.
thank you.
It's an
Thank
honor.
you so much for all the beautiful words. I mean, and they're just not words. It all came from your heart, and we can feel it.
Thank
you know,
you.
and
Thank
I
you,
think
Sid and Kelly.
it's fabulous that we are all blessed to have someone like you. Thank you so much.
And have a beautiful day today. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Did you get flowers and chocolates?
I'm not about the chocolate too much, but dark chocolate and flowers.
How cool.
Flowers for sure. Got
Hey,
flowers and gay flowers.
Everybody out there, I'm going to see you next week. To be continued. And thank you so much for tuning in today. Happy Mother's Day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.